right, so we got e4, and this time let's go with a Caro Kann. Always pre-move takes. Okay, so let's go with something to just throw him off and see if he'll do something weird. Okay, that's what I wanted. Now I get my bishop developed to a good square, and he's already having to think, and now we're getting like a very good version of an exchange. So sometimes gambling can pay off, as you can trick your opponent and it can be worth the risk. I've doubled his pawns at this point and should have at least a little bit of an edge. If he castles, queen h4 is definitely in the cards. The bishop's very strong on d6. Now I'm just looking to get a knight to h4. If he goes queenside, rook c8, b5, queen a5, or knight a5. It's just a commanding position for black. Okay, so let's start with that. And now knight a5. See if we can't get that knight to an excellent square. Feel very good about our chances, as white's bishop pair is quite awkward and bad, and he doesn't really have attack against our king. So we have a free hand here to improve, and okay, that makes a lot of sense. I like that move for you. So let's go ahead and first go knight c4 to bother the queen, and then if queen c2, queen b6. Okay, queen c1 is fine. Knight h4 bothers the bishop and stops the march of the f-pawn. Queen b6 is still an idea. Maybe b5, b4, but let's do some positional chess. I just want to stop any f5 nonsense. Always hoping for b3, so to loosen up his pawn structure more. My knight has a happy home on f5 if he needs to go there, and it just shuts down his pawns. I don't mind taking with the g-pawn and doubling up there. And I think I just have a free hand, b5, a5, b4, and it should be pretty clean at this point. Okay, so if I go knight f3, he'll just rise up. So let's do that. Okay, he really wants to take that knight. So if he really wants to take it, let's come here and let him take it. And then I've got the ability to attack him, which seems like a good idea, and I can soften things up. Actually, I don't even mind the queen trade. The rooks double just the same. Okay, castling is fine. No attack, no problems. And not sure what his plan is yet. Because even with b3, you're still pinned. Bishop a3 would have been more forcing and better. Let's try that again. Okay, now I'm threatening mate with rook b2. Not sure what he does. King d2, knight f3. And that makes sense. I'm just gonna play some quick moves. And that'll do it. Okay. So let's transition to analysis, and I think this one's got some interest to it because sometimes you don't feel like playing preparation and you just want to play a move and play some chess. So I'll dabble in lines like this, and in these games I'm playing casual games against just players only chess, and this time my opponent's rating is about 1900, and I find that people get way too caught up in theory. Well, here's the deal. If you give me the choice between having to think from move one against someone who's much weaker than me or much higher than me, I'm always going to take much weaker than me because my natural skill as a player, I'm got a much higher chance of outplaying them. But if you give me the choice between, say, us being in a theoretical battle at move 20 or stopping the theory at move 5, I'm going to stop the theory against a much lower rated player because they're having to think on their own versus me. It's a 2200 versus a 1900 at this point, or worse. So something to think about from a practical standpoint as I play a6. And a6, d takes e4 has been played 17,000 times, g6 about 1,000 times, a6 131 times, and then b5 106 times. So it's been played 100 times, and black wins the lion's share of games, mostly because it's probably mismatches. Sometimes you can look at statistics and get that type of idea. So knight f3, and this is the main move, but I feel like a better practical try is like h3 here, which makes a lot of sense as a stopping, and it's like, okay, if you take, whose move is going to be more useful, my h3 or your a6? And the h3 is definitely more useful. So it's good to wait back if you're a person playing with white against this type of system. So knight f3, bishop g4, and when he takes, already things are getting good. And then, like I said, he's having to think on his own, and already move 6. He finds himself in a lost position with the double pawns. All I have to do is play reasonable chess, and his position will fold. Knight c6, basic development. e6, also basic development with this Carlsbad structure. Bishop d6, best square for the b. And I want to stay flexible with this knight. Notice how I'm not quick to play knight f6. Knight g to e7. Very flexible. Knight g6, so if he castles kingside, I can very much be looking at ideas like queen h4, or, I mean, the engine even liked bringing this knight over and just getting full harmony with all 3 minor pieces and the queen coming into an attack. So I definitely think it's a better practical try to go queenside. Now, rook c8 makes sense. It likes queen f6 with the idea of knight h4. Okay. Didn't hate my knight a5 move. Didn't hate that. Knight h4 was first choice. Okay, good. Bishop h3 makes a lot more sense than his rook hg1 because you have the potential to play f5. That's what I thought was going to be best. And then I was going to play g6. The engine likes castling because it goes, well, he doesn't have an attack anyway. F5 is also another move that's worthy of consideration. Black's definitely got a big edge here. Rook hg1, g6. I mean, it's interesting. It recommends castles at negative 2.6. When I go g6, negative 2.1. So, I mean, to me, I want to eliminate counterplay. It's not about playing perfect chess. It's about playing what is going to win and be the thing that uses the least amount of energy for me when I'm playing. So bishop f1, b5, first choice, b4. Okay, that makes sense. And my thought process was, I'm just going to open the file and get a good game. But b4 is a great line because if he takes, this is already the lever that we need to work this pin, and you've got to break through immediately. So that's definitely an improvement on my queen b6. So takes, f5. You know, it's that type of great practical move and it actually wants to take with the e-pawn, because if you take with the g-pawn, bishop f4, and the dark squares could be a little bit weak. Like, most of the advantage for black is gone here, which I misevaluated that. And one of the main reasons I'm doing this series is to not only show my ideas and play some openings, you know, and just talk about stuff, but to try to look for things that I misunderstand or I misplay. And I thought that this dynamic, I was still maintaining a pretty sizable edge, but white definitely has some drawing chances. It went from like -3 to -1. So b takes c4, queen c2, rook b8 was good. It said king e7, but the eval didn't really drop when I traded queens. A5 it liked us best. b4. Because if I take, he gets what he wants. And if I go a5, he has a4. Excellent move to shut things down. Very, very, very nice defense by the machine there. b3, definitely losing. But b4, it's got this a4 idea, so you have to find rook 5 to b7. And after a4 here, you just go ahead and sack because it's worth it. And still a piece up with our extra play here. Not much white can do because a move like knight e2 ends in disaster. So the knight's paralyzed and hard to find a decent move for white. Alright, so rook fb8, b3. Okay, it did like a5. First reactions. He has sealed in the flavor of the king. Now, knight f3 was fine, and I just played some quick moves to run him out of time as I was well up on the clock. And sometimes, again, it's about winning. So I wasn't looking for perfection in those last moves, and I've got a minute and change, and he is bleeding time. So that'll do it for this video.